Welcome, everyone, to the Return of the Knicks podcast. We have a nice podcast tonight. The Wolves come and stole one at MSG. Let's get to it. Let's run the introduction, and we're ready to go. Good evening, everyone. I am BX Sports Jedi Kev. Welcome to Return of the Knicks podcast. And I'm going to bring in my second man, always cooking up the recipe here, Chef Dan. Salute, Chef Dan.
Salute to everyone in the chat. I hope all is doing well. We're trying to do better right now. We gotta, just shake off what happened last night. But it was certain things were egregious, and we gotta address what was going on during the game and what happened after the game.
Absolutely, man. We were discussing last night. Those of you that are joining us this evening, last night 112, 110, knuckle burner, squeaker. The Knicks fall. A really up and down roller coaster game. We're here to break it down. Of course, like always, Chef Dan. I always like to bring in the 2 minute report. Thanks to you, you brought it up to me. You made it available for me. You send it over to me, and we're gonna bring it up there. 2 minute report brought to you by Chef Dan, who's always working hard in the kitchen, prepping it up. Chef Dan, talk to us about this 2 minute report here.
The reason why I had to bring up the 2 minute report, especially from last night, was because there were a couple of calls that were really egregious, a couple of calls that didn't go our way, some non-calls, some incorrect calls, and the 2 minute report kind of verified it for us as Knicks fans right there. You're looking at it really. Evan Fournier, when he lost the ball earlier in the fourth quarter around the 146 mark right there, they say that the review decision, if it's INC, that means there was an incorrect call. They did not make they either made an incorrect non-call or incorrect call right there. And while Evan Fournier was getting swarmed, they did not call anything. So we got screwed over right there. Then you could see it over on the far right side of your screen. Says Julius Randle had got called for a foul on Karl Anthony Towns. That was when Karl Anthony Towns drove and got the and one. The review decision there was that was an incorrect call as well, because they showed on the video that Karl Anthony Towns extended his hand and he was holding on to Julius Randle. So essentially, we had an offensive foul right there. On these two calls right there could have completely changed the game. And then third call right there is RJ Barrett. He got fouled by D'Angelo Russell. That's something that we all saw on the screen right there when him and D'Angelo Russell were fighting for the ball. That they kind of just, D'Angelo pushed him, and so the referee is in front of him. They didn't call that. That was a loose ball foul that potentially could have gone to the Knicks. So it was three calls right there. Even though it was a close game, the rest kind of took it out of the Knicks' hands right there.
Wow, that's a tough one. Tough one. I want to first let's quickly salute some of the folks in the chat. Johnny Davis, Mr. Johnny Davis, at work as usual, always making money. The hardest working man. Johnny Davis, salute to you. Salute to Alvin. Alvin from the Philippines. Salute, Alvin. Hopefully you're doing well. Good to see you here, Alvin. I know the Yankees watch along. One of our many friends from the Yankees watch along. Salute to you, and of course the First Lady of the Jedi program, Miss Maria. Salute, Maria. I hope you're doing well. I'm glad to see you here tonight. And yeah, and of course, aka the notorious G Money in the building. Salute, Gideon. Salute, absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. And we're breaking down this 110 loss. Wow. You know, those that know us, we did the watch. We always do the watch along, the play by play here on the Sports Jedi Network, the Return of the Knicks podcast. And you saw I got irate, to the point, thank goodness I didn't do any swearing, but I was very irate with those egregious calls. And to see the 2 minute report, to be honest with you, I think three is not even enough, Chef Dan. I think there was like about 5 calls that the NBA officials missed there, especially when they reviewed the possession with RJ Barrett, with D'Angelo Russell fouled him a couple times there. Fournier as well, when he got the ball stripped, he was hit a lot of contact on his elbow, on his forearm. That's also wasn't there, but I'm pretty sure the NBA wasn't going to put out a laundry list of 6 or 5 different implemented plays. But my question to you, Chef Dan, what are they going to do about this?
I don't know. I would love to see that. I don't think there's anything. The game happened already. You kind of move on. But as a fan, what I'd like to see is something that the NFL does for us. Not really for the fans, but we started to get the information is that after a game, based on what was going on, the NFL will grade the referees based on what happened during the game, the calls that they made, the calls that could have been made, the calls that weren't made, things of that nature, and they give them a grade on that. With the NBA, it kind of seems like the referees, they've made the referees untouchable. They've made them an entity that just cannot be messed with, a third party that, even though they have a lot to do with the game and the outcomes, they are almost untouchable to a fault and cannot be discussed or anything. I'd love to see if the NBA grades the referees, and from now on, I'd love to see the gradings that the referees get for certain games. You can't take back a call. You can't, the only thing that we can do moving forward is hopefully that they give coaches now a challenge per half at the very least, or if not, give them two challenges to use in the game, because there's a lot of questionable calling, and especially with the way that they kind of come into the, year by year, either they're going to change a rule and how it's regulated. They're either going to change a rule, or they're going to enforce a rule differently, and how it's regulated, how it's being doled out. These things are different, and so I'd love to see a grade for these. I'd love to see a grade for these games from now on for the referees.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely would love to see a grade on that. Would love to see, what are they going to be held responsible for, either game checks or, certain NBA finals or playoff games. That paycheck. If they get a score where they're very bad, we can have you officiate in, important playoff games. We shall see there, but of course they're not going to let us know that. Maybe that's something later down for corrective bargaining agreement situation.
It It may be, but for right now, I think the most important thing is if the calls are going to be this bad, and then in the last 2 minutes you're going to start to take away reviews because you don't want the game to slow down. And the game was slowing down for a while, especially in the fourth quarter when they want to review every call. That's fine. If you want to remove yourself out of the equation, albeit, but you got to at least give the coaches two challenges. You got to give them two challenges. The
I agree
game
with
moves
you.
so fast paced, and I don't expect the referee to get every call perfect, but you got to give him two challenges.
I agree with you. The two challenges, or you could even do the MLB. If you win two challenges, you're awarded a third one. Because you're not wasting time of the referees all the game. You don't call calls. You don't review to review it. I understand the leagues want to keep the games moving fast, and they don't want it to prolong and have a long. But we also want to get it right, especially with so many camera angles, so many slow motion and so forth. That's why we implement these challenges to try to get the game right, the calls correct, and especially So I know there's human error, there's human elements of error, but when it's so egregious and you have the instant replayability and you see it there, and I understand it was really really puzzling. And I says I like, and Johnny Davis says I like the idea of this report. Don't know if done this before. I think is valuable. I think, how long ago the 2 minute report? I think it's been around for about, what, 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, roughly 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, that's a insight on that there. Also, let's put total transparent, folks. We are Knicks fans, but we're not blaming the referees completely, or we're not blaming it on the loss on the referees. But when you have an opportunity there that switches momentum and deflates the momentum and the air out of the game, or critical call, you get irate. But all in all, the Knicks missed a lot of free throws, and they can only look at themselves in the mirror. When you go 24 out of 33 from the free throw line, that's where you look at yourself in the mirror and say, what, we needed to execute. And I don't want to knock Julius Randle. He has had a knockable season, but when he missed that, when he went 1 of 2 from the line, when he had a chance there, that was a big free throw there. And also Barrett and so forth. What's your thoughts on the missed free throws, or do you think, what's your opinion on the way you thought? Do you think it was the lack of free throws? Where did you go from here thinking what? what the Knicks where they really lost. Like if we had a finger, and I think it's a combination, a little bit of everything, but I think the missed free throws is one of them.
I think for me, coming off of, after reading the report and having to, just let it go because it happened already. You got to let it go.
Correct. Correct.
Where my mind went to for this game, you the free throws are one thing, but for me personally, where my mind immediately went to is the 21 turnovers. It's bad. I know we had what, either 18 or 21 assists, and we had 21 turnovers. So as much times as we were sharing the ball, we were giving it right back to Minnesota and giving them every chance to really put this game away. As much as Minnesota didn't put the game away, we were giving them every chance to. And one of the biggest things for me was, Julius missing those free throws that, that hurt a little, but looking at his overall stat line and some of the impressive things he did for us defensively, I couldn't get too mad at it. Him being the reason why Cat ultimately didn't really get involved into the game later on is because of Julius's defense and the way he played Karl Anthony Towns. But my mind immediately goes right back to those turnovers. RJ Barrett having 7 of our 21 turnovers. That is a bad stat. You can't have that. He's a growing young player. It's going to come with the growth and, the growth and maturity of him. But after this game, we kind of called it that they were going to blitz the pistol action, the pick and roll that he's doing at the top of the wing very heavy. They were doing that and they were playing the passing lanes. And so coming out of this game, I just thought, what are the ways that we can clean up the offense from this point forward?
Yeah, excellent point there. Also, one thing also we I don't make a big deal out of it when we and also we fouled we both our centers fouled out. Both our centers fouled out of the game, and I think Thibodeau went with the right call with Burks there. Emmanuel quickly wasn't giving us anything because usually it wouldn't been no problem either. We went quickly or Burks there. I know everybody wanted Toppin in there as well. Toppin, not yet. I don't think he was ready there yet because you really need that opportunity. And it ended up being in Burks for the final shot in his hands, and Burks just didn't have it tonight. He looks a little run down, a little fatigued. But normally when Burks is well rested, he normally knocks those threes down. When he had it in his hands, I was like, you know what, this might be a buzzer beater. I think he might nailed it, but a little bit rushed. And if he would have just set just a couple more seconds, I think he would have nailed that. And he hit. And actually, prior to that, he hit the three from the corner that was not notified for the foul on Julius Randle when he went 1 of 2 from the line. So that was those are 2 points we left on the floor. That right there, it's the tie game. Or it just changes the whole complexion of the game there. And the Knicks battled hard. They just cannot start off or get down so much by double digits and put that effort, because then you end up, I don't think they ran out of gas in the fourth quarter, but you put yourself in that position. How much more of a mental roller coaster up and down? It gets exhausting after, especially if you're going to play an 82 game season. I think that was another reason why in the playoffs I think they got the gentleman sweep, because they were just mentally exhausted, getting up for all these teams, playing excellent. They played phenomenally well. I know last year's team is different from this year's team, but still that up and down mental makeup to get up going, especially Knicks, let's face it, they're kind of like a second half team. They get up, they're up and they get that third quarter of doom, and in that fourth quarter they're just another team that turns a switch, and that takes a toll after so many games back and forth. And I would love them to sometimes, you know balance and have a 48-minute game.
It would be amazing for them to have a 48-minute game, but man, this the way you said it was perfect. This team, it's a lot different from last year, but funny enough, we might be as different as we are. We might be very similar to last year, and I'll get into that a little later. But
Sure,
this
sure.
team right now, we need to find some form of consistency on the offensive end. We need to find a rhyme of reason of why we're doing certain things that we're doing, and then from there, I think we can really excel. But we can't be a 24-minute team. Can't play half the game. And as much as I wanted to, be like, you really want to be mad at the referees for, and eventually this game was close, but for the first half, it was not a close game. Allowing 30 points in the first two quarters is not good at all. It really isn't. We allowed them to get 60, what was it, 61 points overall in the first half. We were not playing solid defense. And we saw the tails of it really coming through in the first quarter when certain things were going awry. We see Mitchell Robinson picking up a couple of fouls here and there, some undisciplined defense. And maybe that has to do with, having the addition of Kemba Walker back in the lineup. So guys are playing defense differently and guys are playing offense differently. But we have to find some way of, having a consistent offense. And part of us trying to find that way, I can see it, and you harping right back to it. Everyone may not have lost their legs, but I think someone like Burks may have lost his legs. Realistically, looking at it, I don't think he's really missed a game yet due to COVID or injury, which is odd because Burks usually does miss a game. He's usually known to be injury prone guy. So out of everyone, really, he's been our most, if not him, then Derrick Rose, but he's been our most consistent player. A lot of fans were mad at, just the lineup of how Tibbs bringing Burks out there in the fourth quarter. And I could understand the frustration, but all in all, looking at it, I don't trust Obi Toppin. Salute to you, Knicks 100, man. I wouldn't trust Obi Toppin to I wouldn't trust Obi Toppin to guard either Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, or Anthony Edwards. And knowing those three players and knowing Chris Finch as the coach he is, he would probably 9 times out of 10 during the last minutes of that game involve Obi Toppin in some pick and roll action with those two. So I didn't want to gamble at there. Plus, Tibbs had the right idea with having Alec Burks out there. He was known to be our fourth quarter engine, and being the guy that really gets it going in the fourth quarter and really getting a lot of points there. So it didn't happen this time around. I felt maybe because he was starting for us so much and playing so many minutes for us that at some point when you go to the well so much, you're gonna tap empty, and that's what happened there. But all in all, man, we just got to find some consistency. And maybe we are similar to last year's team. Maybe as much as we want to think that we could have gotten better, or maybe we didn't get worse, maybe we stayed just as consistently as last year's team and the inconsistencies that last year's team showed. Last year's team was overall fighting for 500. There was a time that we did get 500 close to the All-Star break right around now. Granted, it was 10 games less than last year, but coming out of the All-Star break, one of the games that we thought we needed to have was against Minnesota at their home court last year, and we
I
lost
remember.
that, and we fell exactly to one game under 500. So maybe we are very similar to last year's team.
History could repeat itself. They say that. That's the saying. History tends to repeat itself. Hopefully we go on a nice run here. I mean, everyone remember last year as well. And of course, I know I always say that myself. Last year is a different situation, but remember last year. Oh my God, the Knicks are coming off are going into the most difficult schedule in the NBA. Second worst. Oh my God, it's the doom and gloom. They're going to be buried here. All the narrative, and I think they went. Was it 9-1 in that span?
Yeah.
Against the gauntlet of teams. And also that West Coast trip. Also, oh my God, they're gonna lose that West Coast trip. They're gonna come back 1-5, and this and that, and they were. I think they were 300, 3-3, 500 on that road trip, as
Yeah,
well.
that with a very good Lakers game that could have edged it over the 4-2.
Correct. And so I don't put stock at that, at the schedule. It's just how you play when you play the schedule, because you could be playing the worst teams, and if you're even terrible and you're not playing and you're defending, you never know what's going on. Salute Akram, was it
Pira, Pira,
Pirra.
salute to you.
So yeah, Chef Dan. So we'll just see. One thing is, when the Knicks, if you're the Knickerbockers in this modern NBA, you cannot go 4+ minutes without scoring. They went somewhere like around the almost the ending of the third quarter, and about the first few minutes of the fourth without a basket, and you cannot go in the NBA that long.
Yeah, we had a lot of offensive futility in the fourth quarter. There's a lot of lengthy droughts. It kind of, I hate harping it. Like you said, I hate doing it. It reminded us of last year, the way the only offense we were starting to get in the fourth quarter was isolation Julius mid-range shot. And when he was hitting them, it felt great. And when he wasn't, it was like, okay, we missed. We didn't have any form of like continuity down the stretch, especially having a guy like Kemba Walker back. We know he started to hit the big shots, but we are not playing off of certain events happening in the within the game. Off of Kemba hitting those big shots, we don't give up a basket right after that. You play tough defense, you come right back down. Either you give it to Kemba to hit another shot, or we're running a play playing off of Kemba's, off of the attention that he's garnering due to him hitting those shots, and get a basket right there, or just have a nice process of thinking with the way we attacked the game, and we didn't really do that this game. So hopefully we can do something better coming up against the Pelicans on Thursday.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned Kemba Walker. You know, it's like we need the point guard that we need. He provided what we needed, yet we lose, and other guys like RJ has a not a step back, just had a tough game. Just it wasn't his night, and it's like, oh my god, we got the point guard. Kemba hit some monster shots. If they would have won that game, it would have been the heroics of Kemba Walker tonight. We would have been going nuts. Our point guard, if he can only stay healthy, it helps. It helps. Also keep him in the starting lineup. We and then you could keep quickly on the bench, diminish his minutes a little more, just so he could be more fine tuned and so he could get maybe 17 minutes and come out really great or whatever the case is. And it just didn't happen. We just and they had a 9 point lead, Chef Tan. They had a 9 point lead, and you have to also close out at home. 9 point lead on home. The turning point I think was when they went on that fast break, and I don't know what happened with that attempted dunk that just Taj didn't knock it down. It didn't go down. It carried him funny, and it was just like right there. It's just momentum change again there.
Yeah, it was a lot of momentum buckets that happened during this game. Oh man. Oh man. It was, yeah, as much as we miss momentum buckets, the Wolves missed momentum buckets as well. I remember Carl Anthony Towns had a free wide open lane down
Yes.
the back, down the in transition, and he just blew the layup instead of going strong, slamming it down and sharing the basket. He ran down and just got the layup. I maybe because he was afraid of it being blocked, and he just like whiffed the layup, gave us a chance to put ourselves right back in the game. So it's a lot of timely baskets that we're missing. That I think we're missing them because goes right back to me, the process that we're having when we're getting the when we get the ball, and it's late game. What are we doing? How are we executing? How are we executing? That it all goes right back to that for us.
Yeah, you're right. The execution down the stretch, and they have to have the this year they just need the clutch genes, especially at the free throw line. I think a couple of that free throws would have changed the momentum, at least the scoring wise, and maybe Minnesota would have tried something different. And I don't know. It is what it is. We turned the page on that. There, it's just a loss that resentment bothers me. It frustrated me, and it still bothers me. 24 hours later, or just about 24 hours later, still irks me because the Knicks were the better team. They showed it in that fourth quarter, in that third quarter. Usually they have the terrible fourth quarter, and they scored 40 points in that quarter. Phenomenal quarter. It was exciting, but then that drought to close it out, and then the second unit just didn't. They just stood on neutral. I am a little bit concerned with the second unit right now. It's been now a couple games, a good sample size of games where the second unit has been stuck in neutral. I don't know and also it could be also the fluctuation of moving guys around. That's why you got to, as much as we push back on Tom Thibodeau, there's a reason why he always goes with the same lineup, consistency over and over and over. And sometimes we're like, no, why don't we put XYZ to start? Wow, start this guy and then put this one, and Thibodeau stays pretty much, and we call him stubborn. But there's a reason to that, Chef Dan, and we see it. because guys are used to their roles and playing their roles. When we mismatch, they get a little you disrupt the apple cart. Although they're professionals, they should know, but there's still something where when you have camaraderie, you know there you have that trust factor and that chemistry and tempo. And I think you seeing this right now a little bit of that influctuate, and I think it's starting to show a little bit on the bench. They'll be fine eventually, but I think they're going through that peaks and valleys on all that mismatch. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, most definitely. The bench unit needs man, they need some they you're right, they're stuck in neutral. They need some type of gas, some type of aggression, because looking at it right now, as far as the bench unit, who are the guys that we know can create for themselves, and so we know that the defense is going to play them tough. So Manuel Quickly and Alec Burks. After that, the three other guys we have on the bench, like maybe sometimes Grimes creates for himself, but sometimes you just want him in the catch and shoot rhythm and getting the shots up. That way, if he does create for himself, there's a better chance of it coming off. Um, Obi, he started to get aggressive, and it's starting to help out the team a little. It's starting to help the bench unit a little bit. But Kelvin, you're absolutely right. The bench unit, it needs a guy in Burks who helps relieve quickly with his shot making ability, but it also needs a guy in Derrick Rose who we saw all throughout the year. He was the guy that if they started to get into a drought, he'd hit some timely buckets, just driving to the paint, all those magical forays he was doing at the rim. And so once he got to there, they started to play him a little tougher. It eased up it eased up the pressure that Quickly was getting, and then from there, Quickly could either do alley oop pass to Obi, or he could drive and things of that nature and get what he wants. Um, we just need man, with the bench unit, they need some more aggressiveness. For the bench unit overall, I think the mentality has to be aggressive, 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 aggressive. They got to get right back into it because we need them to score. And I don't think it just means quickly uh, forcing the issue. I think it just need what it means is having guys like now that if you don't have Alec Burks in the bench unit, play a lot more with RJ. Have RJ in that bench unit a lot more, and have him play off of Quickly and Grimes, because that three man lineup, that trio right there, that looks like they can do some things.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I think going forward, like you said, RJ is going. I think RJ should return when go with the second unit at times there, and maybe when when Cam Reddish is back and healthy, I think that's going to help also as well. With that length and that athleticism with RJ as well, and I think that's going to unlock not only Cam Reddish on the floor, but I think Obi Toppin. I think they're both going to be now. You're going to have two guys who could really jump out of the gym with athleticism on the wings, along with RJ Barrett. It'll be interesting to see if they'll play RJ back in a shooting guard role. It's going to stink a little bit for Quentin Grimes, but maybe this something also, Grimes has now until everyone gets ready and healthy to state a case of, he's got to be just more than a catch and shoot guy. Although maybe that's what they want him to do year one in the NBA. And maybe, but if he wants to stay on the floor, he's going to have to hit more like close to 40% just to stay and can stay in the rotation. Because remember, Derrick Rose will be back as well. And a lot of moves there. So we don't know. We there's still less than around 30 days before the trading deadline, under 30 days, a lot of rumors and so forth. And we shall see there. I know the Knicks made some moves, but before we move on to the next moves, what's your thoughts on, with Rose and Reddish and it'll be interesting to see that in mix and match and playing time and going forward. I think that's a dynamic that is going to be interesting.
Um, it's going to be a very, very, very interesting dynamic. I'm at the point now, as much as I love Kemba, but if Kemba ends up, due to that knee giving him issues, if Kemba ends up not playing a lot of minutes, and that opens up for Rose to enter the starting lineup, and then from there that allows Cam Reddish to get some playing time on the bench unit. I'm fine with that. I'm at like I'm accepting of the fact that Tibbs doesn't want to play three small guards. I'm accepting of that because the league is getting bigger and taller. Some guards are getting taller and taller. So you can't give yourself that point of attack, weakness right there. Especially with the guys, like our defense isn't what it used to be. So if you could afford to have a smaller guard because the rest of our guys are locked in defensively, you'd be okay. But that's not happening with this team right now. Yeah, I'm very interested to see when Rose comes back, how Tibbs is going to play around with that lineup. And it realistically, right now, it shouldn't. I should see a lineup with Kemba and Cam before I see a lineup with Rose and Cam Reddish.
Okay. Okay. Now, Knicks made some news tonight before we move on to that to tomorrow's. And they made some news. They made just minor moves. They Knicks announced a move. They announced that they have signed Ryan I always get,
Archidiakono.
yeah, I get his name. I always get tongue twisted with Archidiakono. And they, of course, we all knew they were going to waive Solomon Hill. Now Solomon Hill is on the Knicks are going to keep that $1.5 million that they actually got from the Lakers deal earlier when they moved. What was it they moved earlier in when they
They
went
helped.
Selden move, then they helped.
Yeah, they helped them move Rondo to
Yes,
they helped move Rondo to Cavaliers, and the Knicks took on and waived Denzel Valentine.
there you go, Mr. Valentine. Thank you for reminding me of that. And by the way, a quick note: Valentine's Day is a month away, so make sure you get your roses and all your beautiful wives or your loved ones something for Valentine's. So that's a quick public service announcement there. Just trying to be funny, but yeah. So they made rooms. That money that they got there, they made some roster moves. And of course, Mcbride is playing currently right now on the Westchester Knicks, which they're actually leading at the half, 57-34 over the Celtics of Maine. So right now, that game is at the half as we speak. And McBride and Grimes are both playing and having an impact. Grimes is, excuse me, not Grimes. Sims
Jericho Sims, yeah.
Jericho Sims immediately had a monstrous block as soon as the game started, making an impact there. So we keep an eye on the Knicks, the future of the Knicks, and the present. So we always keeping an eye on that. So with that said, the Knicks made that move. They really want to keep that point guard. And I don't blame them, Chef Dan, because I don't know between Nerlens Noel and Kemba Walker, you don't know what you get day to day.
Yeah, you really don't. Plus, not only that, Derrick Rose coming off of this surgery, I know we'd want him to play all the minutes in the world. Tibbs is going to have to limit those minutes like crazy. So with that being said, we just need we need a tall guard. Miles, I know with Miles McBride, we all love Miles McBride, and he does great things for us. But you can't teach height. You can't
Right.
teach height.
Right. And I've been saying so much, we need to get lengthy. We get length. That's why I was very excited, ecstatic when they got Cam Reddish, that 7'2" wingspan, 6'8". I was like, yes, we get some length. We need some long arms. We need some length. And it's going to show when we play the Cavaliers coming up soon. It's going to frustrate us because they're very length. They beat us with the length and with athleticism. But well, we shall see there. Trading deadlines there. We got a lot of rumors with the NBA. Let's talk about the trade that already happened. Denver, Boston, San Antonio made a three-way move that include Juanico Hernangomez to the Spurs. Bryn Forbes went to Denver. Bobo finally, after getting that foot surgery, and PJ Dozier went to the Celtics. Wow, minor
That's
deals, but
minor deals, but at the same time, you get good, hard playing players. PJ Dozier to the Celtics, that's surprising to me because he is a great, he's not a great, like statistics wise great player, but watching him on the Denver Nuggets year in and year out, he was a guy that was high energy for them, always did the little things, and whenever they needed a shot to be made, PJ Dozier was always open enough and confident enough to hit those shots. So surprising right there. Bryn Forbes going all the way to Denver. Denver gets another shooter to hook up with Jokic, and Bryn Forbes is known to make 3-point shots. He's streaky, but when he gets going, he gets going. So that's going to be a dangerous combination. We played Denver once already, so it's going to be dangerous playing them the second time. Just how they go about things. Jokic, him kicking it out to Bryn Forbes is going to be very, very interesting.
Right. And
Go ahead.
no, I just wanted to say hello to Stephen Fox. Stephen Fox, the Fox is
Stephen
loose in the chop.
Fox, salute to you, man. Salute to you. Always got the stats about the Knicks and everything going on. So salute to you.
Much respect, my friend, with those stats and on the hard work you put on your program and your content. With much respect, my friend.
Calvin T. Jones letting us in. He wants to do a watch along for the Westchester Knicks. Yeah, they lead him by 25 right now. Deuce McBride, whenever he goes down to the G League, something I've talked to Jedi about, off the air. I haven't really said this, but to me, man, Deuce McBride, he shows how much I trust the front office with their drafting, because every time he goes into the G League, he's always averaging something like 25 points. He's getting anywhere from like 5 to 10 assists. He has a bunch of highlights, making threes, making shots. He's literally too good for the G League. And when you draft a player that's too good for the G League, that lets you know he fits somewhere in the NBA.
Exactly. Absolutely there. As the chat salutes Stephen Fox. Always welcome him. Yeah, he always comes out with a good game, McBride, always, and no stats. And that's why I think us as fan base, we get excited by McBride. We see what he does in the G League. We see how good he's, and, we get frustrated when we don't get the opportunities. And when he got the opportunities, in short notice, it was, we wanted to see him to succeed. And of course, they're going to have his bumps and bruises going forward. And that's why, because we're claiming for, and we desperately need a point guard. We need a point guard badly. And Knicks have been rumored to plenty of point guards coming up. Jalen Brunson, De'Aaron Fox, and those are one of the top players that actually score to the basket. And I got the statistics there and here. And also Eric Gordon was a name that the Knicks all of a sudden came up. And I was looking at this from Beast in the Paint. Brunson 58.2% finishing to the basket. And Eric Gordon, I was surprised Eric Gordon ranked that high, Chef Dan, 57.5. But he's 34 years old, and we don't need a stopgap. We got to find a point guard right now if we're not going to develop going forward.
Yeah, I think we're at a point right now where if you want to groom a point guard of the future, it's too little too late. You don't have that right now. You can't pick it up in the draft unless the guy has an amount of skill that you feel is so much that he has a set of skills and just an understanding of the game that's so well that you feel that maybe he doesn't you don't necessarily need to groom him as much. He just needs to experience the games. But yeah, we're at that point right now where I'm in the market for one. I realize now we're not gonna, like, with the amount of games we're winning year to year, we're not getting anywhere closer to the lottery. When we do get in the lottery, we always drop to a pick that we're not supposed to have. Our lottery luck sucks. So I'm at the point right now where if we have to buy a point guard of the future, I'm for it. And it doesn't look like Dallas is going to be able to afford to keep Jalen Brunson.
Right. And they've been named for Miles Turner. Despite Miles Turner now has a fractured foot, he'd be out after the All Star. I don't know what's his timetable to return after the All Star trade. I mean, after the trade deadline. Don't know when is he returning, but there'll be teams that would like to trade and have him. Um, I think that takes the Knicks out of that equation. Although you never know. Well, you never know. I don't think the Knicks will go in that equation, because although we've been playing without paper mache, aka Nerlens Noel, it's nothing new either. But that's if the Pacers want paper mache. I look like they're gonna want Mitchell Robinson, because Mitchell Robinson now is showing the ability to do crossovers and put the ball on the floor, and with the dribble, oof, And for those that are missing it, do I have it on here? For those that missed it, I have the video, and those that are listening on the audio platforms, we're just showing the play there of Mitchell Robinson, and he did that on Monday, Martin Luther King Day. Just a phenomenal move by Mitchell Robinson. Oh man, just looking at that just gets you excited. He just excites you when he's on. When he's on, boy, you get excited what he could bring. But when he's off, oof, it's a he's like a all or nothing type of player at times. Or frustrating, but you see there's a lot of potential with him.
Yeah, so like Calvin said, man, I'm not all the way ready to trade him, and I'm not all the way ready to keep paper mache on this team either. What's the sense of having a center that's not there for all the games? You essentially just don't have a center. I know Mitchell Robinson's a little more, he gets hurt as well, but he's been here more than Noel.
Correct. Correct. And there was also talked about Mo Bamba. I know Orlando right now is on the outs with him. I'm not excited too much with him. I don't think they see a future with him. But they have to drop their asking price. They gotta have to contract a restricted free agent pretty soon. I know they don't want to, I don't think they're going to sign him or give him the money he's looking for with Orlando. So it looks interesting, but they have to ask for something realistic. They're not going to expect the first round pick for Mo Bamba. No way, no how. Not with the numbers he's putting up. The ability is there, but with the coaching, the way, the style that they want to play it doesn't fit a Mo Bamba in Orlando. But we shall see. We shall see how that goes. And also there's a lot of trade rumors going on, Chef Dan. This is the time of year, a couple of weeks away from the trading deadline. We got a lot of trading rumors. Sacramento is in the middle of everything. The Sacramento Kings are the hubs of the trading deadline. Of course, we all know about Philadelphia and now the Pacers. But here's another rumor going around. The Sacramento Kings have considered packaging Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton, Harrison Barnes, and 2 first-round picks for Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Matisse Thybulle. I was told that was rejected. One of the moves that were rejected earlier. Your thoughts on that, Chef Dan?
That's a lot. That's a lot to consider right there. The Sacramento Kings, they're kind of in a little bit of a no man's land. You want to build around De'Aaron Fox and things of that nature, but first you kind of have to show everyone that you're serious about wanting to contend and compete. They this is going to be very interesting. I
Yeah,
don't know what to make of it because it all goes right back to how do the Sacramento Kings want to play. You just fired your coach in Luke Walton. You have who's the interim coach? I believe it's Alvin Gentry, right?
Alvin Gentry, correct. That he called the team out for seeing that was the worst performance he's seen ever on a court when they lost a couple weeks ago. I remember myself and Z, we made a video about that. Him calling out his teammates.
Yeah, so they're stuck in a little bit of no man's land and what they want to do. You have De'Aaron Fox on that deal that you signed him to, which is great, and you want to build around him, but I don't know if De'Aaron Fox is willing to stay there. And after this year, you got to kind of, if anything, the way man, the way Sacramento has it, if I were them, I try and just consolidate as much assets as I can, and then from here, if I want to build a winning team, it's got to happen right now. If not, I'd have to kind of what am I like? What is the Sacramento Kings doing?
Right. And we just had a statement from Sham said that Sacramento wants to build around Fox and Halliburton, but Fox doesn't want to be there. And also, we have more rumors coming in. The Celtics have inquired on Sacramento for De'Aaron Fox, and Boston's willing to do whatever it takes to land the young star. So you could see a divorce between Tatum or Brown. The Boston is whoever the team Sacramento likes between either Tatum or Brown. I'm pretty sure it looks like the Celtics are willing to bargain that chip. Now, if they could pull that trade without getting rid of neither one of those two, holy crap! I'm gonna give Brad Stevens right there executive of the year. But I think it's gonna take one of those guys to move him.
It definitely would. Those are the only two really. You can try and convince Sacramento of everything else, but if they're trading De'Aaron Fox away, I need one of those two foundational pieces. I gotta find some way to come right back to my fan base and say this is who we're building around.
Right, exactly there. And then we have the Kings are I'm telling you, Kings, everybody's calling the Kings up. Everybody's trying to get, now is and we know that the Kings have done stupid moves. They haven't been smart in draft picks and all, but here's another chance here for them to be, you know, smart and want to move their players and get some assets. Now, what I'm hearing from scouts and NBA executive and scouts this year's NBA draft class, after the top five, it's just any of these picks from 7 all the way. It could be either they could you could and depending what teams needs and draft boards could be any one of these players could be drafted anytime 7, 21, 29, 24. Nothing to write home about. The talent pool of this year draft, but it changes. It's too early. There's still the NBA, the NCAA tournaments, March Madness hasn't happened. Usually team players emerge, they start developing, they start getting their basketball legs in them, and people start climbing, players start climbing up and down scouting charts. But as of right now, a lot of scouts are saying this is not a sexy draft class. With that said, that's why I think that was a smart move. The Knicks trading that Charlotte pick, which probably won't converge until maybe 2 years or maybe not even all 2 second round picks, and they moved it. They still have Dallas's first round pick. I think personally, I think that's going to be moved. I think that might be moved in a move to try to get some access here to this year. It'll be interesting to see how they use that. But Sacramento, is willing to give these players at this time of the year now where the draft class ain't gonna be so good, or if they're trying to get more or draft picks for the upcoming following year when they're able to have the 18-year-olds or the high school, what we call the AKA the high school draft, to get some influx of talents. We shall see there. But another name that the Kings are willing to move the Iron Fox in a deal for All-Star to Domantas Sabonis, which I don't think it makes sense either, Chef Dan, because why you bring Fox to the Pacers? What you're gonna do with Brogdon when you can't move him at all until the summer? These moves and these speculations. That's why they are speculation that move. Sometimes they don't even make sense in the long run for these organizations.
Yeah, a lot of these moves, a lot of these propositions that are put out there, you kind of just have to be able to, be patient, wait the time, and know that certain things are going to reveal themselves, certain things are going to show themselves in a way that kind of if a rumor didn't make sense then, it would start. There's a reason why it start to make sense later on. So some of these moves, it even that one, the one for Domantas Sabonis, that one it really doesn't make sense. But then we started to hear that maybe they're all in on just building around Tyrese Halliburton. I don't know. It that's weird. I don't know. You just
Yeah,
kind of have to wait a
yeah.
little. Yeah.
It is a weird dynamic there with that. And personally, Sabonis, a player that you could actually slide him to the 5 at times. Of course, he's a 4. And Gideon says Sabonis will help the Celtics. I think so too. I think Sabonis could help the Celtics. Personally, I think he would. I think he's that type of player that will do a little bit jack of all trades wherever you need him. Um, you know, he might have some down nights and stuff, but he's consistent. He's consistent. He comes night in, night out, and isn't going to be the sharpest knife in the tool shed, but he'll be a dangerous one. I kind of like Sabonis, but I don't. He doesn't fit the Knicks' plans. When you have Obi Toppin and you have a Julius Randle, he don't fit. Sabonis is the kind of player that I personally would like to put in there with RJ, who could pass and high assist, but he don't fit. He doesn't fit the New York Knicks mantra right now. Because then you're talking about getting rid of Julius Randle. Me personally, I like Julius. I don't like too much Julius. I wouldn't mind him trade, but I don't know if you're trading Sabonis for Julius. I don't know how well would increase the Knicks playing better. Maybe what, 3 games, maybe, or maybe it could go
If
either
that.
way. If that.
It could be if that, but then again, Sabonis doesn't defend as well as Randall does, so you would kind of be giving up the identity, the true mantra of what Tibbs would want with a guy in Randall. So there's that with there. Anything else?
Oh yeah, that's a little. We'll be wrapping up in a moment there, and of course, the team that everybody and their mother wants to get traded to, and they're in on everyone. The delusional Lakers. The delusional Lakers are set to acquire Jeremy Grant, Barnes, Turner, Simmons, but in 2K22.
You talking about the game or in the year of 2022?
I looks like these are the Lakers. They put out everybody that if look, Chef Dan, if they say you were available for a trade, I think the Lakers will be in on it.
Yeah, the Lakers are probably being on a trade for me too.
Yeah,
That don't yeah. Just
yeah.
like oh my gosh. If someone's rumored for a trade, no, the Lakers are probably in on they're in on it. It's just, ay, 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 ah, man, Lakers.
If Turner was healthy, he would help, but he's hurt. See, I don't know how far, and foot injuries with on the center 7-footer. That we saw it with Mitchell Robinson. It could
Last
be,
I heard, we
yeah,
wanted to trade centers with foot issues. That's the last thing I heard about centers with foot issues. So I
correct,
won't,
correct.
that's either here nor there for me.
Yeah, absolutely there. And of course, everybody talks about the big one, Zion, but I don't think that's never gonna happen this season. Chef Dan, word three, number
Oh
one.
man, thank you so much, Stephen Fox. Thank you. But knowing the Lakers, they'd probably trade Kurt Rambis.
And I don't want Kirk Rambis on the network.
I don't want Kurt Rambis.
And I don't like this year's draft. So no, no,
Yeah,
thank you. Chef
no
Dan, you're not
thank you.
going anywhere.
I'm staying right here. Thank you very much.
No, and we shall see now. The Pelicans come in. Let's see. We beat them the first time around. And they're playing much more better. They're more, of course, the season they get to know each other. They get much better. Be interesting to see. The Knicks got to defend home court. Plain and simple. They need to come out with an aggressive. Would love to have them have a wire to wire victory tomorrow. Just put all these two games. Okay, it was a hiccup. You come if me personally, I'm just saying me. If the Knicks come out here and win, they don't have to blow the team out. Well, of course, we'll love it. But if they have a wire to wire victory, where they always led by 7, and Pelicans try to make a run, cut it maybe to 4 or to 3, and the Knicks just kept hitting those timely buckets, and they go away with a rocking chair game tomorrow. They don't, like I said, they don't have to be up by 25. We would love that, but not they don't have to. But if they win, rocking chair game when they weren't in danger, then I say, what? Those were just two hiccup games. All right, what? It happens. Stuff happens. We're gonna lose games that we're not supposed to, and we're gonna win games that we're not supposed to win. And that's in the way we say it, that's baseball, Susan. And that's how it goes. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, for me, most definitely with this game, I would love a wire to wire victory, but it never happens with the Knicks. They're cardiac Knicks. It always happens like that. We always find a way to just make the fans, panic a little. So really, what I'd want to win where as we're watching the team, everything just starts to feel better about the offense and the defense. And what I mean by that is like, I don't care if we win by 20 or by 2, preferably by 20, but if we're winning and while we're running the offense, we're not just getting fluky shots up. It's not a fluke that the offense is just running really good. It's just that, we're processing better. If the Pelicans come out and they're hedging that RJ going into the pistol action, trying to get down the lane, I want to see the adjustment made off of that. Lately, teams have been playing us the same way. They're, blitzing our pick and rolls and they're giving us zone looks. I want to see adjustments to that. That would make me feel better.
Right, right. And Knicks GM, just Sadiq Bey, he's the missing piece.
The Pistons are not giving them up, buddy. I'm
Well,
sorry.
he was rumored earlier. Hold on, let me see if I find it. I thought I wrote it down. Where is it? No, I didn't. I thought I had it. My apologies. They were Pistons had a deal that was rejected by the 76ers. It was Sadiq Bey, it was Grant, it was a few others. And also for Simmons, Tobias Harris, and the Philadelphia declined. It was they had a proposed deal out there, and it was declined by 76ers. I think that actually prompted Charles Barkley to have a few words to the organization. Just trade him already.
Another thing I want to let people know too is be careful with these rumors, these price tags that are being put out for Ben Simmons. Notice that no matter what is being put out there, some trade proposals that have been put out there, you could say like, oh man, that doesn't make sense. Other
Thank
ones,
you.
they've been astronomical. They have been astronomical, and they still have said no. You sometimes got to be careful with who is putting out these rumors, because if it's the 76ers letting you know, hey, no matter what price you put out there, it's not good enough, it's not good enough, then some team will probably go out of their way and really bet the whole farm and give up a Paul George-esque type deal for a guy in Ben Simmons. You just got to be careful with where these rumors are coming from. Take everything with a grain of salt.
No, and thank you. That's why our resident GM always on tap. He got the trade there. Sorry, I should have went right to my GM, my program, the BX Sports Jedi GM, resident GM, and he said it was Bay, Orlinick, and Grant. I had it written down, and I just didn't put it on the ticker, or I didn't make it. So, and that was the rumor there. That was the big rumor, and Philadelphia said no. Like you said, it could be, they throw this in. Of course, if you those that are fishermen, when you go fishing out in the sea, you throw out chum. You throw out dead fish with bloody, and then you want to call the whole school of fishes. You anchor down and you throw out the chum, and you want, or if you're dragging, you want that chum to just make a trail and call the fish towards you, towards that chum. That's where you throw your bait, and you see if you get the big fish there. And that's what this was what GMs are doing. They're throwing out the chum now and trying to see if they could catch a fish, before the trading deadline. If a big one bites, and before the deadline, you pull the trigger. You bring them up. If those are not, of course, back to the fishing metaphor. If you got a real big fish, you don't pull it, you don't reel it in right away. You got to fight with it. Reeling in around. That's what these GMs are doing. They throw the chum out there. Hopefully, someone bites. When they bite, they have to try to fight the fish to get it in the boat. And if you land it before the trading deadline, you got yourself the player. If you're not, if he comes off your hook, you didn't. The trade falls through the cracks. So just a quick fishing metaphor with that said there. So it'll be interesting. I think there's going to be movement shift, and I think there's going to be some movements. I think there's going to be more movements in the trade than actually the free agency. Last year, the free agency wasn't so lackluster. Guys, a lot of people re-up because, of course, they get to sign the more sensitive, the more lucrative contract, staying with their own team. But I think there's going to be movement.
I funny enough, I don't think the massive amounts of trades is going to happen during the trade deadline. I think a lot of trades are going to happen really during the draft and during free agency of what people will want their teams to look like. I don't think anyone wants to. I don't think there's too many people in the league right now. As you know, how do I say this? As fair weather as a lot of teams have been, being up and down and not really being consistent. There's only been a few teams that have been consistent throughout this year. So I think they're going to want to keep certain players to try and find some length of consistency, and the teams that don't and end up, finding out where their season ends up due to just the roller coaster of it all. Those are the teams that are going to make a whole lot of trades.
And so you're saying February, yes or no? So I'm a little confused.
I'm I'm gonna tell you right now, during
Mhm.
this trade deadline, I think it's gonna be pretty slow.
Okay. Okay. I'm actually gonna take the opposite. I think it's gonna be busy. I think it's gonna be busy. We're gonna be like, oh, I didn't. I think there's gonna be player that you were like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Wow. I think there's gonna be one that gonna be like, holy crap, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that move. And I definitely think that Boston is gonna finally pull the trigger on one of these two guys. I just they're right there. They're just a couple one game better than the Knicks, and it depends on week to week. One week the Knicks could have a better, they'll go 3-3 and 2-3, and the Celtics might go 1-2, and then they're gonna be there's gonna be that hopscotch back and forth between these teams, and I think Boston they have a opportunity to help their team up. Salute, be civilized in the building.
You think this trade deadline they make the decision between those two?
I think so.
That would, oh man, you know what's funny? As much as I said it wouldn't be a lot of trades, that one trade would be enough conversation and enough news story that it kind of just that'd be it for the for the trade deadline. We're like, well, that trade happened. That's it. There's nothing other, no other newsworthy trade that I could believe is going to happen unless the Trailblazers decide to finally trade Dame Lillard. I don't know.
He's injured. I don't know if he will do that, but I don't know. Anything could happen. I've seen teams trade for an injured player just to have him there and just get him in the building, just so and nurse them themselves and get them practicing with the team. And maybe sometimes they just say they're injured on a terrible team because they're like, you know what, we don't want you to get really. You know what, we're just gonna let you out. We'll try to get a better draft pick. No sense of wasting, I don't know, your talents with a team that's really not going to get anywhere. We're going to win 2 more games more. I don't know. It's interesting to see there. I think that that Boston is going to shake. If they move, they could get some players, and I think that's going to cause a domino effect. Teams there, Charlotte, you know, could be moving. They need a center. You know, right now, I could see Charlotte contacting Orlando, for Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba tonight erupted for 28 points, career high down in Philadelphia. He went off in the first half. Actually, at the first half, not even a career high, 28 points, and he still have a half to play.
Mm.
Yeah, he's having a hell of a game right now. You know,
That's the way.
he,
That's the way you up your trade value right there.
he hit 7 3-pointers in a half. Yeah,
That's
I
the
think
way
that
you up your trade value right there.
I think he's close. He's closing in on Rashid Lewis's 3-point record for the Orlando Magic. So I'll double check that on there. But Mo Bamba, the Harlem native, and not fitting their team, and he's torturing an MB. So that's gonna, like you said, raises his stock up for teams like Charlotte who needs a center. Especially a stretch five. We desperately needed a stretch five here, but I don't know if Orlando wants to trade with New York. I don't think they would like to. I don't think they just the Bo family does not like Dolan. They just have that, like I always said, and I said it before. They have that little brother mentality to New York, and I say why to Orlando, New York, because we have a lot of transplanted New Yorkers here in Orlando. Also, when the Knicks, no matter how bad, how terrible they are, we go out there, and we have so much a drove of fans that support the Knicks in Orlando in the Amway Arena, and we make it loud. And the Bull family, trust me, I heard they do not like it, and I don't see they just there's a team that they want to see us be in the pits is Orlando. They do not like the Knicks
You could
whatsoever at
kind of,
all.
similarly make it similar to with the Spurs and the Lakers. Those two organizations will just not deal with each other. And granted, the history there is different from the history between us and the Magic. It's not like we kept the Magic from a title or anything at any point soon, though. We may have because we're in the same conference, but overall, they would just will not deal with us. And I wouldn't be surprised at that, though. If there's a three team trade that happens, or if Leon Rose and company and Scott Perry and them kind of see it where they know where he's going to get traded to, and they feel like that team isn't really going to, hold on to him, then it could be where they just, let him get traded outside of the division and then trade for him right back into the division. You never really know. And as the Westchester Knicks right now, they're just taking over.
Oh my God,
It's
101-76.
Yeah, they're just taking over, beating the Boston Celtics. We needed this.
Wow, wow, wow. That's
Oh,
McBride
they're
is
the main
frustrated.
lobster crabs, the main lobster Celtics. I don't know.
the the
They're the
the
main
good.
lobsters. I don't know.
Oof, Knicks are eating good tonight. Good lobster, and there's a fast break, and wow, this is crazy. The Knicks are the no Westchester Knicks. Oof, it's almost finished. That game is over. And last time
Yeah,
they played a Red Claws. It's called the Red Claws, but meanwhile their
their
logo is
lobster is
green.
green. Yeah, I don't.
It makes no sense there though. But we're chopping it up here on a Wednesday night here, just recapping, reviewing, giving us our thoughts, a look around the league. Talking about the different trades, us trading deadlines. A lot of rumors are going to be coming out. We'll keep you posted here. I'm pretty sure if anything goes down, everybody's going to run to a stream and do it. We'll do the watch alongs, and we'll come out. We'll always put something on audio. So guys, make sure to check the audio platform and Spreaker, or anywhere you get your audio platform, any audio podcast. It's PI Sports Jedi, Return of the Knicks podcast. We're always putting out content there. Make sure to listen, view it, or share it if you're on the road. We always put tonight we did it video as well as audio. We normally go do strictly audio, but tonight we did a little bit of both there. So we appreciate you guys listening to us. And Gideon says ESPN has flexed off the Grizzlies Spurs games on Wednesday for the Bucks Cavs. That's a good matchup. Or the Heat Knicks.
I gotta say, man, that's finally smart of the NBA. They finally learning certain things from the NFL as far as learning to flex certain games off and prioritize other games. Like you just all you have to do is change the streaming, or you contact the tech guys and say, hey, we were going from one port to this port. I'm not saying it's really really easy, but you got to be watching the standings and going, okay, this team is tailoring off. This team is on the uprise. Let's give them more national televised games because they've earned it and they deserve it for the way they're playing basketball. And
Right.
yeah, Darius Garland, you said it you said it best, Foxy. Garland is balling right now. Me personally, I think he stole that play of the week from RJ, but hey, I'm not too mad at them giving it to him.
No, he deserved it because man, even though Rajay plays in the world's most famous arena, and we have more media coverage, but let's call spade a spade. Garland deserved it. He playing in the and Cavaliers who they were in the pits, and he's just playing really good. Has his team where they are, what, fourth in the Eastern Conference or fifth, doing really well, having them playing good. I think well deserved. And John Moran is balling too. I think he was Western Conference player, with some ridiculous moves and having that team, a Western Conference powerhouse in Memphis. So both of those guys, either or. But the thing is, you want to see a challenging opponent. So defending world champions, Cavaliers. I kind of see why ESPN will go that route.
Yeah, plus if like we said, you have a guy in Evan Mobley who, me personally, I think Evan Mobley is the rookie of the year. There is no debate right now. I maybe Kate Cunningham is doing some things that I haven't heard of, but the way Evan Mobley is really contributing to that team as a starter, and they're winning right now, and I just got to give it to Evan Mobley.
Yeah, in my videos here on my network, I made the NBA draft, and I was saying the Houston Rockets should have taken Evan Mobley, and they passed on it. I think they're going to regret. They're going to regret that. Especially with the length and the size that Evan Mobley would have bought. And also, I wanted chaos anyway for the Cavaliers when they had so many guards. If they would, what would they would have been stuck with? They made it so easy for the Cavaliers to bring a power forward, small forward. That fits in there for them, and that's what I know they had Christian Wood, Houston, but I was like, get Mobley, get him in there. You could put Wood, you could move him to the center, you go move him for more for down the road, and man, and I wanted that chaos. I wanted to see what Cleveland was going to do on draft night, but it didn't happen. But I know I have the videos there. I was saying, Houston should have taken Mobley. I had him in my draft board that way.
It's okay at the end of the day, because with the Rockets, what they did now is, now that they didn't take him, they have a guy in Jalen Green who he's doing great things, but now they don't want to keep Christian Wood. They want to sell him off. They're sellers of Christian Wood at the trade deadline, and hey, you never really know how your plans could work out as far as who you think you have on the roster and things of that nature. You got to evaluate them past the talent.
And like for our Knicks 100, yeah, Franz Wagner is playing really well for Orlando. He's balling too. Playing really well. Wait until next year. He's going to have a bigger leap. I think he's going to help. I think he's going to be the All-Star representative for the Orlando Magic next year. I don't think this year. Any news on the futures game? Are we having a futures game? That's kind of quiet.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything yet. They haven't even really, they usually start to do that by the time, some all-stars are getting announced, and by the time, some votes are finished being tallied up. So we're just kind of waiting right now for, I guess, for the all-star thing, all-star to be named, and from there they'll do the futures teams.
All right. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I would like to see, I think Mo Wagner will be on there. Franz Wagner, excuse me, Franz will be there for Orlando in that futures game. I think also I think Emmanuel Quickly will be in that futures game. I don't know. Obi Toppin's on the cusp. I don't know. They'll invite him. I don't know if he'll get that invite to that game because there's other players who probably has a little more better numbers right now. I think before this stretch in mid-January, I think he was on his way to that futures game but I don't know. He might have fallen out of that. It's usually first year, second year players, USA World, and that's how if they continue that same model. I think first year, second year player. I think let's see. It'd be interesting to see if Bobby Toppin gets that. For sure, I know he'll be in the dunk contest. I think his reputation around the league about dunking is very well known.
Most definitely, I'd love to see that.
Oh, me too. Me too. I would definitely like to see him out there, at least for a representative there. And I would like, who I would like, if Quickly gets invited for the skills competition, just to see, Quickly, he to see what kind of if he will play in the skills. But it is what it is. We'll wait for that when that bridge cross. Before we get out of here, any thoughts on any other things to look out in the league or anything? I know tomorrow, guys, we'll have the watch along here. 7:25 start for Knicks Pelicans, of course, like we normally do here. We appreciate everyone that comes and listens to us and share it on your channel, share it in your social media. The more people, the more better. And always smash that like, help us get more recognized and let everyone know the good things that Chef Dan and myself and Gideon, Zach from A to Z Media, and every other ones that are join us on this network do. So we want to appreciate you guys backing us up with that. We appreciate it. So Chef Dan, your thoughts?
Last thoughts is, oh man, this Timberwolves game was rough, but we remember last year for this team, literally right after the Timberwolves game where we felt like, we had that one, but we just let it slip ourselves. Kind of, we had some, really tough, grit, fought it out games between the Nets and the Sixers, I believe. And then right after that, it was on to a run we went. So it starts off with the Pelicans here. I don't expect the Pelicans to give us a fight, but they have been well coached throughout this year. They are going to have Brandon Ingram on the team, so I this needs to be at least a convincing victory for me, where we see the process of this team and their thinking and the way they're going about sharing the ball and everything. It looks great. That's what I'm open to, but I got to put this Timberwolves game in the back of my mind. So, bang bang, it's there. It's in the back of my mind now.
Yeah, exactly. That we turn the page, and tomorrow, of course, the sun comes up, and the Knicks play tomorrow. As soon as I wake up in tomorrow morning, I'm gonna have a big smile. Knicks play tonight. Knicks play tonight, and the wonderful thing is that not only they play, I get to watch it with all you guys, everyone listening us, everyone that participates on the watch along, and everyone that from the chat. So that always puts a good smile. At least that's a positive for tomorrow. Let's see if they just execute. Limit Notorious G Money says. Limit the turnovers. Limit the turnovers. Execute our defense. Rebound, and just whenever the Pelicans turn, if you could turn the ball over, make them turn, because the Knicks are playing well defensively. They're just capitalize and make them pay and get points off of their turnovers and limit our turnovers. And I think that's the recipe to victory. No, I'm glad that they didn't have a third quarter of a doom last game, and let's build on that. But also, we have to learn when we are on a scoring drought to recognize there is a drought and just go back to the simple play: attack the basket. And if you're in the bonus, just keep driving and try to get some buckets, some whistles. So Deuce Mcbride update. Deuce got 16 points, 15 assists.
I
I wish I wish we had 15 assists on our freaking team right now. One
we
player
not yeah we know not one player is gonna have that, but I'm gonna just keep going right back to saying this, man. I trust our front office when they draft, because this guy is too good for the G League.
yeah.
He is just too good for the G League.
Yeah, good job on Brock Aller. Not only with drafting and scouting, also with the cap. Smart move there, manipulating the cap, working with the cap. That Cam Reddish trade. They bring an asset here where they could extend them this year if they would like them for a good number. And when you extend them, that means that trade is movable. You extend, you can move them. Also, RJ, and that's a smart move. That's why they extended Julius Randle last year, for that contract they gave him, because now that he's movable. February 3rd, Julius Randle could be moved if you wanted to move him, or throughout the summer. If you would have waited to this year, at the end of the year, and waited, you give him a max deal. Then you next year, if a trade or a player that's disgruntled much more greater than Julius Randle, you wouldn't be able to move him until a whole, like the same thing with the Pacers are stuck with Monte Brogdon. They can't move him until the summer because he gave him an extension earlier. So those are the kind of ramifications that our front office is doing. Smart moves, and I trust them. Like you said, Chef Dan, and we shall see. We have plenty more to talk about, but we got to get out of here, unfortunately. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Stephen Fox. Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you, our resident uh, 100 GM. Be civilized. Gideon, thank you so much. Maria, Alvin, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. See you tomorrow tonight night. I just want to keep it short because big task, of course, big task. I cannot forget to say thank you and to salute you there as well. So I thank you guys for all joining us, being part of the program. For it was a short one. I know A and B, Johnny Davis always working. Make that money, sir. Make that money. Always working, listening to us. And Alvin from Philippines, good morning for you there on Thursday morning in the Philippines. We'll see you next time. We appreciate you guys always. Thank you for giving us your time. Share, like, and let everyone know about the Proctor Long. Share it. Let us, and hope to see you tomorrow. And we'll continue being better each and every day, and just like you guys. And we appreciate you guys. And we'll see you next time.